It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening or watching. Hope you're doing all right. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's to get a decent slice of pizza. Today's show is also being brought to us by the Sea Palms Resort, also on beautiful St. Simon's Island, and our next Billy C boxing event, which will be at the Sea Palms. We are doing a multi-day event on August 25th and 26th, and it might stretch over until the morning of the 27th. So make your plans now. What are we doing? Well, we're going to have former world champions Marlon Starling, Bobby Ches, and Mike Weaver, all scheduled already to join us. Renowned trainer out of Tampa, Florida. My man Sherman Henson. He's actually going to be there showing some training techniques, and he's going to be working out Sal Rocky Senacola. So we'll have that. We also got other people up our sleeve, which we'll be sprinkling in as time goes on. But, hey, we're going to do a meet and greet. You get to meet the guys. You get to have some hors d'oeuvres. We get to invade Sal's restaurant. We are also going to be doing a little golf tournament. And we're all going to polish it off, the evening where we all can joke around and make fun of Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, and pray for a miracle, or just watch Floyd dismantle Conor McGregor. And I forgot another thing. We're going to be showing you a Billy C's Boxing Revisited episode that you'll be watching on the networks pretty soon. So all of that's happening. Make your plans right now. Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Sea Palms banner, and give them a call and ask them for the Billy C Boxing Special. They got several different package options for you. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by our app. Check it out. Just visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Billy C app. Download it today for free. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can literally get a copy of it right now by visiting Barnes & Noble or Amazon.com. Find out why I'm so adamant about educating all you guys about the life and times of Tom Molyneux. Coming up a little bit later on the show, Dax Khan scheduled to join us, give his thoughts about today's topic. Today's main topic, as we start the week of Adrien Broner against Mikey Garcia, my question is, first of all, Mikey Garcia is a what I call a blue-collar fighter. This is a guy that brings his lunch pail to the gym, and no-nonsense guy, and does what he has to do, and he's undefeated at doing it. Adrien Broner, on the other hand, is not your traditional blue-collar guy. And I'm not suggesting he doesn't work hard, but here's a guy that busted onto the scene as a junior lightweight, then a lightweight, who showed all kinds of promise, and then seemingly chose the wrong road, and has been up and down. not only with his career, but with his weight. My question today is, do you think that today this fight between Adrien Broner and Mikey Garcia is Broner's last chance at becoming the stupid star? He's already a stupid star. The superstar that he wants to be and feels he is. He's got a tough hill to climb fighting Mikey Garcia. Is this Broner's last chance at superstardom? Joining me right now is my man from St. Simon's Island, Georgia, Sal Rocky Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Bill. How are you today, my friend?
Not too bad, not too bad. Is this Broner's last chance at superstardom, Sal? I mean, this is a guy that he's got the talent. I know. I think he's certainly got the talent. A lot of people don't like him personally. I'm not saying I do, but I saw him possess the type of talent level that he needs to be a superstar. However, I think his attitude has hindered him, and he's gotten several chances. He's been up and down. Is this his last chance?
This may be, I think he's going to have this as a pinnacle chance. This is an opportunity. This is his opportunity to break on to major levels that he's maybe lowered himself from into a different tier. So this is a great opportunity for him. Am I the one to say that he's not going to have any more opportunities? This is the pinnacle. This is the best opportunity he can have right now at this time in his career to propel himself back on top. I think a convincing loss will just further put him down, and we'll see what it does to his psyche. I like Mikey Garcia. He's an undefeated fighter. He's a well-rounded fighter. He's a good, hard-working fighter. Adrien Broner, as young as he still is, I think he still is not any longer at that top level. He's starting to go on a downslide. However, this fight could bring him back up there. I just don't know if he's going to realize and take that opportunity at this time.
Well, does he get more chances?
I don't think so, Bill. I think he'll always be the B-side after this fight. He'll be the B-side and the opponent coming in. That's it after this. And he could have a few upsets. He could have a few surprises in store. But I think if he does not win this fight in a good fashion, he may be just not a has-been. That's a bad term. I don't like it. But I think his best days or his reaching the top of his mountain is probably going to be the days gone by. Well,
I mean, we're talking about him getting to superstardom, and in his mind, he's already there. But I mean, he's still young. He's only 27 years old. His record right now is 33-2. And should he not? Here's my thought. I think that if he fights Mikey Garcia, first of all, if he can beat Mikey Garcia, that's a huge plus right there. And Mikey Garcia is technically moving up in weight to fight him. And as the week goes on, we will break down this fight and really take a look at both fighters and how they got to where they are, et cetera, et cetera. But when you look at Mikey Garcia, he's moving up in weight. He's a no-nonsense guy, not a flashy guy, lets his fist do the talking, lets his actions and performances do the talking, which I love in fighters.
He's my kind of fighter.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And here's Adrien Broner. At first, with the brushing of the hair, in the ring. I mean, that was how outrageous he was at that time, and I didn't mind it, and he was good. He showed it all. But then, as his discipline was questioned and his ego got bigger and his his weight, but that's besides the point. He seems to have traveled down the wrong path, got himself in trouble, etc., etc., and he had a couple of performances that looked mediocre at best. And if he beats Mikey Garcia this weekend, I mean, you can't deny his talent level, even though Mikey's moving up in weight. You can't because truthfully, Broner might be fighting above his own weight class. I mean, it depends how you look at it. We were talking all last week about how we feel that we should have same-day weigh-in, so we have, legitimate weight classes instead of guys who can dry out, etc. But I think in the long run, Sal, if Adrien Broner performs well, even if he loses a close fight, that'll help him. But if Mikey Garcia stops him, or if Mikey Garcia really dominates him, this could be the end. Now, as far as him becoming an opponent or the B-side, as you suggest, I don't know if he can mentally handle that, at least not at this point of his career. He believes so much that he's a superstar. I don't know if he could handle that mentally.
No, and I believe what you're saying. Yes, it's true. But again, you use the term superstar to me, and I think superstar, will he rise to the level of like a Sugar Ray Leonard, of a Marvin Hagler, of a Roberto Duran, of a Tommy Hearns, of a I don't see that if he does not win convincingly this weekend. I think he could be in an arena of more than just an opponent. I'm sorry I used that classification too, but I think he could still be a world champion. I think he could still do some things, but as you said, mentally, what can he handle at this point? He's got to really know that he's at a very important point in his career. And there's going to be a couple directions that are going to be recognized after this Saturday night. And which direction is he going to continue the path and be ready to either accelerate and to climb and to be the best in what he can do, or is it going to be the losing side where he's going to be he's still capable of being a champion, he's still capable of doing a lot of things. But again, if we're using the term superstar, that's a very coveted position to be in. I don't know if he's going to be that superstar.
Well, he thinks he's one now, and he's the A side going into this fight.
He's the A side.
I mean, as far as the promotion's concerned, he is. His name is first. But Mikey Garcia, and I know Dax is coming on later. Dax was adamant about he didn't like the fact that Mikey Garcia got a shot at the title that he currently holds right now as quickly as he did after his layoff. He had been after almost a 2-year layoff after his win over Juan Carlos Burgos, and that was for the junior lightweight world title back in 2014. He had some management issues and really didn't step back in the ring until he faced Elio Rojas back in July of last year, stopped him in 5. So now he did fight for a WBC world title in the lightweight division against Dejan Zalakishian back in January of this year, knocked him out in 3, and showed everybody that Mikey's still Mikey. But some people, including Dax, didn't feel he deserved a shot after that long of a layoff. One fight, and then bam, he's in a world title fight. He technically is that champion. I don't know if I don't think he's given up that title yet. He is fighting this fight, I believe, is at junior welterweight. Unless I'm wrong, Sal. Because he's classified as a lightweight. Adrien Broner is classified as a welterweight. I'm wondering if I'm pretty sure this fight is a junior welterweight, which also brings up the question: is Adrien Broner even going to make the weight?
That's a big question, because I know there's been some challenges for him in the past. But like I said, if he's serious about this and all guys do their things, what's expected of them, then we could see a good fight, and may the best man win. It's that easy. And I think that Mikey Garcia's got a good opportunity here to remain unbeaten and prove to the world that he's here to stay. And I think Adrien Broner has a great opportunity to say, hey, I'm still one of the baddest guys out there, and don't discount me yet. I'm going to rise to the level and be a superstar. So look, I just beat an undefeated fighter. So they both have a very good chance to get past this fight, and both a good incentive of the significance of this fight at this time in their careers.
True, and truthfully, as long as both perform well, I don't think it's a career ender.
No,
I do think that Adrien Broner, should he lose this fight, convincingly, in other words, get stopped, I think it's going to take a while to get him, if he could even get to superstardom. I'm not saying he couldn't rise and become a champ again, but credit to Adrien Broner for even taking the fight. He does seem to have no problem challenging himself, and that seems to be rare these days. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, a little bit more on that and then some. Don't go nowhere. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300. Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us. And speaking of being with us, don't forget, we want you to be with us on August 25th and 26th down on beautiful St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the CPOMs banner. Excuse me. And give them a call and tell them you want the Billy C Boxing package. And they'll tell you all about it, man. Don't miss out. Former world champions Marlon Starling and Mike Weaver and Bobby Ches will be there. Renowned trainer out of Tampa, Florida, will be Sherman Henson will be joining us with some training techniques. And he gets to work out my man Sal Rocky Senecola, who's with us right now. And Sal, I'm looking forward to this event for sure, and we're going to have some fun. And you know that one of the plans is to come and invade the restaurant. I hope your normal customers don't mind if we all come in there and fill up the joint.
No, I think they'll enjoy rubbing shoulders and rubbing hands and shaking hands with some of these superstars coming in. And we'll always have a good time. We'll have a happy time. The music will be playing, my fights will be playing. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, we know that. That's all that happens. That's the Rocky Senecola network. The poor. That's why he can't keep employees. They go crazy and go running out the door when after the second week of nonstop that and Frank Sinatra they leave the place and they can't get it out of their minds, man.
Oh, it brainwashes them. It's all subliminal, It's that endless loop. It goes on and on and on. But we like it. We have a good time.
We got some boxing news. I mean, this week we're going to be talking a lot about the Adrien Broner and Mikey Garcia fight. There's also another fight on that card that I'm actually looking forward to, and that's the heavyweight fight, Jarrell Miller against Gerald Washington. Two heavyweights, similar spot in the overall heavyweight picture. Gerald Washington coming off a knockout loss at the hands of Deontay Wilder in his last fight. And Jarrell Baby Miller, well, being a baby, acting like he's way better than he is. I believe that both of these guys are at the similar spot. The only big difference between the two, aside from weight, Jarrell Miller is kind of a fat heavyweight. I mean, he's not that big for heavyweights today. He's a monster compared to us, Sal, 6'4", but he pushes 295 pounds.
It's a big man.
Yeah, it is. So we'll have to see what kind of shape he comes in. And also Jamal Charlo is on that card as well, taking on Heelan for a middleweight eliminator fight. I'm not crazy about him. Charlo. Whatever. But there's another fight also this weekend on ESPN2, Saddam Ali against Johan Perez, which I like. I think that's a decent matchup. And Victor Ortiz returns. He's fighting Sunday. So we got kind of a busy week. Unfortunately, we are only here for 3 days this week. We'll be here today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. And then as of now, next week's schedule is up in the air, Sal, because I got some stuff going on, and we won't know if we're going to be able to do a show until the night before. So I apologize to all you guys in advance. Next week's schedule is going to have to be TBD, to be determined, right?
To be DT or to be to announce?
TBD, to be deployment.
TBA or TBD?
I don't know. But again, did you see
TBD?
Did you see in the news that Antonio Margarito will be fighting again? He's been out. He had come out of retirement and fought already, but he hasn't fought since then. In almost over a year, in 13 months. His last time he fought was in 2016, and he fought twice, Jorge Paez Jr. In March, and then Ramon Alvarez, Canelo's brother, in August. Now he hasn't fought since then, and he'll be fighting in September when he takes on Carson Jones. He's 39 years old already. One of my knocks on, Floyd Mayweather was that he didn't face Antonio Margarito when Margarito was controlling the welterweight division. Now, a lot of Mayweather fans will cite the famous fight that kind of put Antonio Margarito and his career to the back burner when he was caught getting ready to cheat against Sugar Shane Mosley, when they found him putting plaster of Paris type solution on his tape.
That's not a good thing.
It's not good. And the way he was knocking people out. So, the way I look at it is, Floyd made a smart move by not fighting him, but he didn't know that he was cheating. None of us did until he was caught plaster-handed right there in the dressing room. But what's your thoughts about him continuing to fight? His eye is, has passed some tests. He is able to fight in some states, but the last time he fought, his eyes clearly looked damaged. Apparently, he's fighting out of necessity because he needs the money. 39 years old. Not that you're the wrong guy to talk about that, but he's already.
I was going to say.
Yeah, he's already controlled the welterweight division. should this guy be fighting, and is a Carson Jones fight worthwhile?
Well, it's hard to answer, but we're going to have to see. But the bottom line is, I'd have the inspector right there watching him get his hands wrapped. And number one, number two, his future health, that's important too. So he's got to be careful about that. And like I said, Bill, these fighters, they got to know in their heart of hearts, is the prize worth the price? If it's worth the price to him, that he knows what he's got to lose or to gain, then the prize is worth the price, and it's his decision, his call. And the promoter can only leverage him and put him in an opportunity that he can either take advantage of, or he'll just fall the wayside. So, I mean, he's a warrior, he's a battle guy, and I think he's got to ask himself that question: is the prize still worth the price? And if it's up to me, I'd probably hang in there a little while. But if not, it's no shame. It's nothing else. He's just got to learn to make a living somewhere else.
Yeah, well, you know what? And there lies the problem. A lot of fighters.
A lot of these fighters.
Well, a lot of fighters, they spend, before you know it, starting as an amateur, 20 years go by, and they feel they don't have any other experience to make a living, so they're always drawn back to what they do best, and that's fight. And we all know that when you age, you may have the heart and the desire. You may train just as hard, if not harder. But Father Time catches up. You lose some of your speed. You lose some of your reflexes, which is even more important. And in Antonio Margarito's case, I mean, his eye was damaged. That has to affect his reflex capabilities. His last two fights, like we mentioned, against Paez Jr. and Alvarez's brother, Ramon Alvarez, he didn't look very good. He looked extremely slow. He was never a speed demon. He was a guy that would break you down and just pulverize you with power. He seems to be taking a lot of punches. Ramon Alvarez, I remember watching that fight, was teeing off on him.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, Carson Jones, you look at his record, 40 wins, 11 losses, and 3 draws with 30 knockouts. I mean, he's got 11 losses, so the people that don't know the sport will say, oh, he can't be that good. He is a tough out, and I don't know.
He's a tough out.
I think at this stage of Margarito's career, this is a 50-50 fight. If Antonio Margarito has another way to make an income, Sal, maybe he should consider it because, this is a guy that's, the way the damage was with his eye, I mean, he could very easily not only lose the sight in his eye, but possibly lose his eye, and it may seem like that risk is worth the reward now. But Margarito's still a young man by life standards, pushing 40. He may regret this a few years from now.
Well, he may, and that's the whole thing. We at age 25 can't look back at our lives if we were 50 or 45 and make any decisions then. In other words, we can't see that far ahead. We can only see that far behind when we are at that age, and we look at back and we say, hey, you know what? Maybe I should have done this differently. Maybe I could have done that differently. But the bottom line is, he right now in his heart of hearts, he's got to make that call and that decision. And, it's a shame because, it's again, we should be in a position to keep some of these superstars in the sport of boxing, duplicating what they know into another fighter. But that's a whole nother scenario. How does he get leverage to be in a position to find a good fighter to train? Does he prove himself? That's a way to make a living, but what kind of living? I mean, you want a steady income? Unless you're going to be hired by a promotional outfit and or somebody that's going to be a trainer for several fighters. It's going to be hard to wait for that 10% off the top to get a big fight, unless you prove yourself fast.
Yeah, no, it's
a vicious sword. It really is. I mean, hey, if a great fighter is retiring and he wants to be a trainer, well, we got to see if his value as a trainer. Number one, is he going to be known as a better fighter or a better trainer? So we got to look at that, and then we got to see who's gonna ride that horse, and who is he gonna ride as far as being their trainer to get him ready? And do you start with a 4-round fighter, or do you go right to a main event fighter, or do you go to a world champion? So it's hard, and that's why sometimes today, duplicating what the sweet science is all about from the legends that have fought and have the experience and have the knowledge, it's hard to keep them in the game.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's a tough one, but Antonio Margarito returning to the ring September 2nd against Carson Jones, and that fight will be shown on ESPN, another ESPN fight that we'll be able to see. So hold that.
That's
thought.
Great. I wish him a lot of luck. That's great. I like that.
He's in a tough one. I know he needed money, and obviously he's making a few bucks. But anyway, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we got some more news to talk about. So don't go anywhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you!
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget about the next Billy C. Boxing get-together. It's taking place August 25th and 26th. Yes, we will be showing the McGregor-Mayweather fight, but we have a golf tournament going on. We got a meet and greet, and we're going to have a great time. So make your plans right now by visiting our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and clicking on the CPOM's banner. And call them and mention the Billy C. Boxing event and get the package deals that you're longing for. Join me and my man Sal with former world champions Marlon Starling and Bobby Ches and Mike Weaver. Sherman Henson out of Tampa will be doing some training techniques for us. We're going to be doing meet and greet. We're even going to show you one of our episodes of Billy C.'s Boxing Revisited, which will be on the television networks coming soon. We'll keep you posted on that. I'm here with Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, I got an email to read. This one's from Joel. He says, I see this coming Saturday on BN Sports Espanol network. They have a boxing card which will be taking place from a boat, the Queen Mary, out in California. I guess, is that the original Queen Mary? The Queen Mary, which is a luxury liner. That's a big boat.
The big boat.
Yeah, out in California, featuring Tremaine Williams. Is it more difficult to have cameras rolling and the production done properly on a boat, or is it similar as a boxing card at an arena? Have you ever seen a boxing card on a boat, or has Sal ever himself fought on a boat during his career? Thanks, Joel, for the email. First of all, I'll answer what my questions. Number one, I would think that the production aspect of the fight would be very similar, especially on the Queen Mary. I would think it would be very similar to having it at a venue on land. Those boats, you're not feeling any waves in those boats unless there's some huge out in the middle of the ocean waves, and they're not going to be doing that there. They're going to be doing it in a controlled. So as far as I know, I would say no. There's no production difference, with maybe the exception of the type of equipment. I mean, they'll probably be doing it in a ballroom, so it's not like they're going to be getting salt air. But there used to be, that was a way back in the bare knuckle days that they used to avoid fighting illegally, when they used to be able to get on a barge or a boat and go off the amount of distance that they had to, where they weren't considered on mainland, and then the sea rules apply. And that's how a lot of fights, James Corbett fought several times on barges and stuff, so that was very popular. And to answer your question, me personally, I have seen a fight on a riverboat, the way they do that, but like I said, you would never know you're even on the water. It's just a scam of how they can get casinos legal in some states, and you have no idea that you're on the water. You don't feel it or anything. I went to one at Caesars. It was a Caesars riverboat, Caesars, Indiana. I saw one out there, but aside from that, no. Sal, have you ever fought or watched a fight on a river, on any kind of a boat?
No, I almost got in a fight on a boat, though. I'm teasing. One of the largest ships I've ever been on was the QE2, the Queen Elizabeth II. And an old friend of mine, Nancy, she had the opportunity to introduce that, or I had the opportunity to be on that little cruise to nowhere. That was beautiful. And those ships are so huge. They're unbelievable. And I think it would be a great venue, a great place to have like you suggested, maybe in the ballroom to have a big boxing match or so. That would be a great way to do it. Or if they could do it outside, if they sail to good weather.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I vote for having them anywhere that will attract people. And
yes.
if a boat is good, those size
thousands
boats,
on a boat, captive audience. Say, hey, we're going to show a fight.
This is true. The thing is those large boats like the Queen Elizabeth or the one you mentioned, QE2.
QE2
I know a lot of people, including my grandparents, went on when the QE2 first was built. They went on a cruise on that. But the ships are so big. It's not going to be any different than having it in a ballroom at a hotel or a casino. So I would say whatever works, man, make it work. But
make it work.
Anyway, Shannon Briggs. We all know that he was supposed to be fighting for a world title, the WBA's regular world heavyweight title. He was going to be fighting Frez Oquendo, who hasn't fought in 15, 20 years. I don't know, but. I know we were all shocked, Sal. I know we were all shocked. I mean, just totally shocked that Shannon Briggs was using performance-enhancing drugs. I would have never guessed it. I mean, here's such a mild-mannered, calm guy, and we all know that performance-enhancing drugs can make you a little, elevate your testosterone levels pretty high and make you a little nuts and crazy. But Shannon Briggs, I mean, he didn't display any of that. I mean, I'm shocked that he tested positive, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh man, I couldn't believe it. I was devastated. I mean, here's a guy. Yeah, I thought he was all he was, and it's when you have drug enhancements or chemical induced or whatever. I don't know. It's however you want to dictate it, but it's depicted. But I'll tell you what, it's no. Yeah, well, I was very shocked, Bill.
Yeah, I was shocked. Yeah, I was surprised. I mean,
you were surprised. It was like that came out of left field. I mean, Yankees couldn't even catch that one.
Yankees couldn't. No, the Mets couldn't. The Yankees catch, but
the Yankees can't. The Mets can't.
They suspended him 6 months. So the positive test on May 14th. So 6 months. He's suspended till November 13th of this year. So we'll see what happens. He was given the opportunity to have his B test sampled, and they said nah, because they knew that they were doing the negative stuff, the stuff that they weren't supposed to do. Hey, the fight that you and I are both really looking forward to, Triple G Canelo. They already started selling closed circuit tickets for different locations like the Bellagio, MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, Mirage, Monte Carlo, New York, Luxor, and Circus. They're all going to have the closed circuit version of the show, even though we all know that it will be live in Vegas. But you can go and watch it. Now, here's the thing. For the closed circuit, ticket prices for the closed circuit sale, $75. I think we all better get ready for $100 pay-per-view at home. If the closed circuit is $75, or at least $75 for this fight. And to me, and don't get me wrong, not that I feel that pay-per-view tickets should be $100, but if we're going to pay $100 for a pay-per-view fight, Triple G Canelo is worth it compared to McGregor Mayweather in terms of the fight. And I understand that the circus, curiosity factor of the Mayweather McGregor fight is selling, but for the quality of the matchup for boxing, Triple G Canelo is got to be worth it. What's your thoughts?
Oh, come on, that's the fight I want to see. I don't care about this McGregor Mayweather fight, but I mean I care about it because we'll see what happens there. But it has no real merit in my mind compared to the Canelo Alvarez Triple G fight. That's the fight I want to see. That's the fight we all want to see. The boxing fan, the purist. I think that fight is going to be mega, and I'd spend $100 easy for that fight.
Yeah, they should. I would think.
I think they're going to anticipate a large audience because that's why they could spread it out as being less expensive than what they're anticipating. That the smaller audience would bring in.
Well, I mean, they're at that T-Mobile, I think, so that's going to be a pretty big live audience. Plus, all those casinos. I mean, just people in Vegas should do well. I don't know. I think Triple G Canelo is going to do really good with numbers. What do you think?
I think it's going to do great with numbers. I really do. I've been talking about that fight, and people are all excited about the ones that I'm talking to. They're all excited about that fight. They ask me every day, "Who do you think? Who do you think? Who do you think?" And as well as they do ask me a little bit about the Mayweather fight, but the Triple G is the fight that's really the real fight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's featuring, and I know this week we're talking mostly about Mikey Garcia against Adrien Broner. But that's a great fight. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's a great matchup and everything else. But the next big fight that that's huge, Triple G Canelo. I know the McGregor Mayweather fight will be before it, but Triple G Canelo is along the lines of Anthony Joshua Klitschko. I mean, there's significance behind the fight. It's a fight the fans want. I think it's going to do well in numbers.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be a tremendous fight, and I think the number's going to be there to prove it. It's what the fans want to see.
Yeah, yep. This is true. This is what the fans want to see.
This is what the fans want to see.
I tell you another thing the fans want to see is the World Boxing Super Series, and
yes,
they announced
they do.
They announced another location and date, and the way they're doing this is these quarterfinals, which is the first one. They are taking each one, and rightfully so, making it a main event and having it at a different location. So they're actually really spreading this out. Well, the next one, which is going to feature WBC World Cruiserweight Champion Marius Briedis, who's undefeated at 22-0 with 18 knockouts, taking on former heavyweight contender and big-time super amateur who's dropped weight, is now fighting at a cruiserweight, Mike Perez. And I love this matchup. I can't wait to see Mike Perez. It seems like he's finally gotten the discipline issues behind him. At least this is what it appears. We got to wait until he gets on the scale. But it's going to take place September 30th at the Riga Arena in Lativa. So we will see what happens with that one. So they're really spreading that all over. And also the WBA has ordered negotiations to begin with their lightweight champion, Jorge Linares, and Luke Campbell. Both teams were notified by the WBA that starting July 21st, they have 30 days to reach an agreement to hold the fight. Otherwise, they will go to purse bid. So we got a couple of decent. I kind of like that fight. I still think that the sanctioning bodies, Sal, hinder a lot of big fights because they force a fighter to fight this guy in order to keep his belt when everybody wants to fight him, when everybody else wants to see him fight the other guy. But this particular fight isn't bad. Luke Campbell has earned a shot, and Jorge Linares, he's been down and back, and he's a worthy champion. So I like this matchup, and I certainly like the WBSS. What's your thoughts on both?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. We prefer to see some type of fights other than what we are given by the sanctioning bodies. But no, this seems to be a significant fight, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a very good fight.
Yeah. Which one? Both or?
Both. Yeah, both. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. No, they both will be. But
they both have a good merit to them, and I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah. Well, this weekend there's several decent fights on, and we were talking about the Mikey Garcia, Adrien Broner fight, and obviously I'm
looking forward to that fight.
Yeah, as the week goes on, and we're going to have Dax Khan coming on here in about 10 minutes or so. But the other fight that I mentioned on that card is the heavyweight fight between Jarrell Miller and Gerald Washington. Pretty even fight based on statistics. Gerald Washington is ranked at number 23 by the computer, and Jarrell Miller is ranked at number 28. And the age, although it's a difference because it's six years. Gerald Washington is 35 years old, and Jarrell Miller is 29. Here's the biggest difference. Jarrell Miller is 6'4", and his last fight against Fred Cassie, which was August of last year, he weighed 296.5 pounds, Sal, a donut away from 300. And you go back to when he fought Donovan Dennis, which was maybe the biggest name on his resume so far. And Donovan Dennis was a guy that was involved with the Boxino tournament. He weighed 274 and a quarter, so he gained 20 pounds in a couple of months. That was January 22nd when he fought Donovan Dennis, and then in August he weighed 296. He's 6'4". Now Gerald Washington, his last fight was February of this year, and suffered a knockout loss at the hands of Deontay Wilder. He weighed 239, And you could argue that he was in really good shape because the fight prior to that, in July of the same year, 2016, he weighed 243 against Ray Austin. So, and he also had a draw against Amir Mansour, and he had a unanimous decision win over Eddie Chambers. To me, it seems that Gerald Washington has a more complete resume. And Jarrell Miller was the guy that was crying, saying that he could beat all the heavyweights. And really, Donovan Dennis, really his best opponent, I think, on his resume, with the exception of Fred Cassie, who is just a tough guy. And he stopped both of those guys. What's your thoughts on the size difference?
That's normally I don't pay too much attention and think it has too much merit. But when you're talking about a potential 60-pound difference, that's a lot of weight to get past.
That's a lot of cheeseburgers.
That's a lot of burgers. I mean, 60 pounds, Bill. I mean, that's if a scenario like that should always be present, and the smaller guy is faster, quicker, in and out kind of thing there, then it's going to be to his advantage. But it's hard to get away from 60 pounds of thumping pressure and everything else. So it's a lot. That's a big difference. A big difference.
How many pizzas is that?
Well, let's see. We got about, if you got this, that, 2 pounds. I'd say that's at least 35 pizzas right there. Right there.
Well, one of them has to stay away from Sal's, that's for sure. But anyway, hey Sal, guess who our blast from the past is this Wednesday?
Jack Dempsey?
No, but close. Gene Fulmer.
Gene Fulmer. That is close.
Yeah, Gene Fulmer. Is you and I did I shouldn't even let this cat out of bag, but we might as well. We did not one but two boxing revisiteds with Gene Fulmer, and he's our blast from the past this week. We got several of them in the queue. If you're looking to get a blast from the past done on a fighter, just drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, and we will get you on the list. I know we got a couple others. Abe Attell is on the list, and this is in no particular order. And Fritzy Zivic, they're coming up next. Programming, and Gene Fulmer was quite the fighter, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he was unbelievable. Tough guy, tough as nails, and that's how they built them back then. They just it was the mindset, it was the training, it was everything else. These guys they fought for a living. I mean, it
was a trade. Boxing was a trade.
It was a trade. They mastered their trade, their craft. This is what they took home to their families. This was the whole thing. This was what they chose to do. This is my craft. This is my trade. I'm going to learn it inside and out and do the best I can, because I know the better I do, the more money I'm going to get and bring home to my family.
Well, this is what we were talking about on last week. I think it was Friday, but the difference with today. And we were talking, I try to communicate as much as I can, both in our chat room and on Facebook Live. And by the way, if you're watching on Facebook Live, all you're seeing is a cheesy camera of me. If you want the full video version, go watch it on our website or our YouTube channel. But, that's the problem with the sport today, Sal. We got guys that are involved in the sport making sport-based decisions that don't know the sport. And, I just wish that fighters would stay in it after their careers are over. There's nothing better. But I was about to say there's nothing better than a former fighter being a trainer, but that's not entirely true. Some fighters aren't good trainers because they don't have the ability to teach, but there's a lot of good fighters that would make good trainers. The thing is, they got to try it, right? I mean, some might realize that they're not, but they got to at least try it, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Bill, I'll be honest. I think I'd be a dynamite trainer. I think I could fire somebody up and teach them and show them all the things that I would love to do. But, like I said, unless what are they going to do? Am I going to go right to a contender, a champion, or start out with a 4-rounder? And I got to make a living. I got a lot of bills to pay, and it's hard for me to do that. But that's what we're talking about. Even the old days with the Gene Fulmers and all those guys. They stayed in the game of boxing, and they were there because they love the sport, and they were craftsmen, tradesmen of the game of boxing. So they duplicate a lot of what they learned in their career to pass it on to the other fighters coming up, and that's the difference of today.
Well, to tell you the truth, to answer your question, yeah, if you're a trainer and you decide to be a trainer, and you start off with a kid that raw piece of clay that you're going to mold into a champion, and you're making $500-$600. The kid is making $500-$600 for 4-round fights, and you're getting $50 for training them for 6 weeks for the fight. You're going to be not living too well. But if you had 10 of those guys, and they were all fighting, and you were staggering their fights so that they're fighting once a week, and you got a fight every week, you could see where the living part can be had. But the truth of the matter is just like as the fighter themselves, you're not going to be making big money until you get a shot at a title or the bigger paydays, and you need to pay your dues in order to make those shots. This is why so many promoters and managers protect their fighters. The part that you just mentioned about the money is why they're afraid to put their fighters in tough, because as they invest money in these guys, they're afraid that they're going to lose, and then their shot at making real money just goes up in smoke. And that's the problem, that fear of losing a payday, whereas the emphasis years ago, it certainly was on a payday. They fought more often, so they were making money more often, but their goal was to be the best. So they weren't necessarily running from challenges or tough fights. It's just today, because they don't fight as often, it's hard. So it's a double-edged sword, do you protect your guy if all of a sudden you're in a management/trainer position and you got a fighter you're training? Do you want to put him in? Do you want to see how good he is? I mean, it's a catch-22.
Oh yeah, it is. And there was a trainer I really don't mention too much that I worked with for a long time, and there's no reason why I don't mention him to him, because he was in my corner, and he prepared me for many fights, and he was a great trainer. And his name was Johnny Torres, a former fighter himself. I think he fought Emil Griffith and a couple of other guys. This guy was a great trainer. Trained myself. He trained Diego Rosario, who I came up in the amateurs with Diego Rosario. I think he won the Golden Gloves too, same year I did. And Diego Rosario was a tough cookie, good boxer. I think he fought at bantamweight or featherweight. And Diego Rosario actually had a nice upset win, I think, on ESPN one time. He fought a fighter by the name of Sam David. And, poor Johnny Torres, he was always with these fighters, these prospects coming up. And, one day, in between stagnant fights of management issues for me and everything else, I think he got a contract to go to Texas to train a whole stable full of fighters. So, it's a tough way to make a living, and he's got his family to support and kids to feed and things like that. So, it's hard to keep the great trainers in the game of boxing unless there's a pathway and a road to success with riding on the true prospects and champions.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Johnny Torres was a good talent, a great trainer. I loved him.
You can't, just like in anything, you can't all of a sudden be at the top right out of the gate. So if you're a trainer and you're starting out, you're going to have to get a pool of fighters and train. Today it's a lot different because there's so many less gyms. The pool of fighters. We talked about the numbers last week and the differences with how many. I mean, just off the top of my head, there were more fights in 1 year in the mid-40s in one state than all of the states combined in 2016 by a long shot, landslide. Yeah. So I mean, so the pool of fighters is smaller, Sal.
Well, and the gyms too, man. I'll tell you what, we would always seek out. We would have our home gym where we'd like to train. And if I was training in New York for a fight, I was always training either with Don Turner over in the 42nd Street Times Square gym, Jimmy Glenn's gym, over above the old Tuxedo Shop on 7th Avenue and 42nd Street. Or I was training in Gleason's gym on 30th Street and 8th Avenue, around from the Blarney Stone. So those are my two gyms that I loved. And but I was training in Jersey, and we got sparring in Jersey, and I was training with Johnny Torres, so we'd go all over. You had gyms in Patterson, you had gyms in West Patterson, you had gyms in Orange, West Orange, you had gyms in Newark, Jersey City, Bufano's, which is an old legendary gym that Buddy McGirt and some big fighters came out of, and surely you had plentiful of gyms and sparring available. And these gyms were homes for us. We knew it. We knew the guys in the gyms. And it was great. It was like a second home, really was. You don't have that today.
No.
Do you?
No, they don't. Well, they're all worried about the gym fees, but
well, gym fees, hey,
hold
it is what it is. You look at when you go to a club and spend each month in a club or so to get in shape with their. Do they still use Nautilus equipment? That's the last time I was in one of those gyms.
I don't know. Go pick up.
It's
I'm sure you have a magazine about it over in the parlor. So check that out. Listen, hold that thought. God. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Dax Khan is going to join us. So don't go nowhere.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C Show. Glad you can be with us. And don't forget, we are simulcasting up on Facebook Live. But for all of our viewers on Facebook, just remember that this is the worst quality camera we have. And if you want to see the version that goes up to the TV networks, we have that same feed is up on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/talkin, TALKIN, boxing, BOXING. Or you could just watch that feed up on our front page of BillyCBoxing.com. Hey, listen, we started the show today. Our topic, as we get ready for a big fight scheduled for this weekend between Adrien Broner and Mikey Garcia, two very talented fighters. My question was, does Adrien Broner have to win in order to continue what he feels is his road to superstardom? I mean, if you ask Adrien Broner, he'll probably tell you he's already a superstar. But in my opinion, because of his ups and downs, he needs to at least look very good, even if he should lose a close fight, in order to continue that long-term goal of his. But I also feel that a loss, a devastating loss, a knockout loss at the hands of Mikey Garcia could very much derail his quest at becoming a superstar in the sport of boxing. Joining me right now, and Sal, to give us his opinion is Dax Khan. What do you think, Dax? Is he against the wall or what?
Yes, absolutely he is. I believe so.
He's, I mean, even if he performs well, I think that's better than if he gets knocked out.
He has, Adrien Broner is at a point in his career now. He can't just perform well. He has to perform sensationally, and a loss is really going to take Adrien Broner out of the whole loop.
I you know what? The thing about Mikey Garcia, hey, are they fighting at junior welterweight? Or are they fighting at welterweight?
No, they're fighting at junior welterweight, and it's going to be for the WBC Diamond title. See, what a lot of people don't understand and they don't realize, and there's been a lot of discussion among people who've been debating this, well, Adrien Broner has this experience fighting at welterweight and at a larger weight. Physically they're the same size other than that 1 inch reach advantage for Adrien Broner. But see, Mikey Garcia's return has been planned for him to move up to 140 pounds. That's why, he came in at 135 pounds. He had those two fights and they were bringing him up there. It's not as though Mikey Garcia hasn't fought at 100 at junior welterweight before. And Adrien Broner, his moving down and his up and his down, that's going to affect him sincerely. And, his last fight against Adrian Granados was at welterweight. So, more or less, in my opinion, this is an audition for Mikey Garcia to stay at welterweight. And I think we're going to see Terrence Crawford moving up to stay at junior welterweight rather than see Terrence Crawford moving up to welterweight after this fight.
Now, the belt, Mikey Garcia has a lightweight belt. Did he already give that up?
Yeah, in his last fight, I believe Mikey Garcia fought as a or was his last fight for that title?
Yeah, it was for Dejan Zaklishian's WBC World Lightweight title. He won that belt, and then technically, and that was this year.
Right.
I don't know if he gave it up. I don't know if he gave it up yet.
He was a junior welterweight.
Yeah, but that was Rojas. That was the fight before. But what I'm saying is, and you were mad that he got the shot at the title. You came on, and as a matter of fact, Adrien Broner had beaten Ashley Theophane for the junior welterweight title back in 2016, and then when he fought Granados, that was a split decision. I don't know if he had already lost the junior welterweight, so it's a little confusing.
Adrien Broner lost that title on the scales. Adrien Broner's lost a lot of titles on the scales. That's the third title Adrien Broner lost on the scales in his career.
Right, and that brings me to this, Sal. The discipline part. We all know that Mikey Garcia is a disciplined fighter. He's disciplined in and out of the ring. We've said earlier in the show he's a blue-collar type fighter. He's very serious in the ring. You're not going to see any BS from him, no shenanigans. He lets his boxing skill do the talking in the ring. Do you think that Adrien Broner's lack of discipline, which he's displayed many, many times, is he beyond it? Or is this going to be a haunting thing for him? Because this fight, he's got to show discipline right off the bat, and like Dax just suggested, right off the bat, he's got to show it when he gets on the scales. You know, if he doesn't make the weight at 140, that's going to be an issue. What's your thoughts?
I think that's going to be a big issue, and it's going to tell the boxing community where his head is at as far as his being serious to pursue the career of boxing on a level that he thinks he deserves to be on. And, you know, hey, guess what? These aren't amateurs. These are professionals. And they're supposed to adhere to the contract laws, and they're supposed to do what's expected of them. And, you know, if they can't rise to the occasion and do and discipline themselves and train and come into the ring ready to go, then, you know, again, it's being showing contempt for the sport of boxing. And that's what we don't need. And so hopefully he realizes the significant value of this opportunity he has to fight, to face, and to defeat Mikey Garcia. But you have a young buck in Mikey Garcia who hasn't tasted defeat yet. And I think it's going to be a good contest. And if Adrien Broner comes in here to ready, fight, to win, and everything else, it's going to be a great fight. And I was earlier alluding to what Dax was saying. This is a great opportunity for Adrien Broner. If he thinks he's such a superstar, he's got to beat Mikey Garcia. A setback from a loss, I'm not saying he won't get another title shot, but that superstar status is probably not going to be where he's going to be looked at.
No, that's my whole point with today's show. I really think that he's got to perform well. Even if he loses, a good performance will keep him in the mix, but a bad performance like his last outing is going to drop him. Hey, Dax, how do you think first Adrien Broner can beat Mikey Garcia? I mean, if you're Adrien Broner, what's your game plan? Because he's in the past going from, you know, junior lightweight up. He has shown us different glimpses of what he can do, and I'm still one that believes he's a talented fighter. But at times we see different versions of him. When he was young and in the lightweight division, I thought he was at his best. He was elusive, but he was able to also stand in the pocket, and he wasn't afraid to exchange, and he had great hand speed and pop. He seems to be a little more conservative with his punch output these days, and that could be because of the weight issue and the lack of discipline. What do you see him needing to do in order to come out with a W?
Well, first of all, if you go back to early in Adrien Broner's career when he had fought Daniel Ponce de Leon, you know, we always hear about this thing in boxing. It's become almost a saying called the blueprint. Daniel Ponce de Leon put a blueprint out there on how to fight Adrien Broner, and that's to pressure him. Adrien Broner has never dealt well with pressure fighters. He has to set his own pace. I understand what you're saying in the center of the ring. He seemed kind of elusive, but when he fought Paulie Malignaggi at 147 pounds, despite that not being his natural weight class, Paulie Malignaggi, a very light hitter and not at the best point in time in his career, was able to touch Adrien Broner quite a bit in the center of the ring. Now, when Adrien Broner tries to fight off the ropes, we've seen nothing but disaster for him, especially at those higher weights. Like, for example, when he fought Marcos Maidana, the fight right after he beat Paulie Malignaggi, you know, that turned out to be more of a man versus a boy bout where Adrien Broner was just beat up. Same thing with Sean Porter. Sean Porter, he took a lot of punishment in that fight. If either one of those guys were accurate, like Mikey Garcia was, Adrien Broner would not have lasted the distance despite his, you know, his solid chin. Mikey Garcia, on the other hand, he can push him back to the ropes, and Mikey Garcia can also box in the ring, and he moves around more. Adrien Broner has to have a certain pace, and he has to set that tone. Anytime Adrien Broner hasn't set the pace in a fight, Adrien Broner has looked horrible. Even in his last fight against, you know, a guy that was considered a journeyman in Adrian Granados, Adrien Broner wasn't able to set that tone, and Broner looked horrible.
I'm a big fan of Mikey Garcia, and, you know, he never ceases to amaze me. How does Mikey Garcia have to beat Adrien Broner?
Well, Mikey Garcia just has to be Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia cannot allow Adrien Broner to set the pace, and he can't show Adrien Broner respect. See, the difference with these two guys here, even though Adrien Broner has a 2-year age advantage, and he's been in 4 different weight classes, Mikey Garcia is younger in ring years. He's a fresher fighter. Mikey Garcia, the only time he's ever had any sort of problem inside the ring and a fight he was dominating, and that was against Orlando Salido. He had knocked Salido down, I believe, 3 times moves until that broken nose stopped the fight and he won a technical decision. Adrien Broner, when he starts being pushed back, he stays going back, and he really doesn't have that pop, and he hasn't shown to have that pop at the elite level to sit there and push guys back. Paulie Malignaggi, again, he's a very good fighter, but Paulie Malignaggi is a guy who uses a lot of jabs and he uses a lot of speed. Mikey Garcia has both speed and he has power. So I believe he's faster than Adrien Broner, and he can overwhelm Adrien Broner just like a Sean Porter did. And on the inside against the ropes, he can bully Adrien Broner just like a Marcos Maidana did. And he's never going to let Adrien Broner use that shoulder roll. And the corners as well. That's another problem, is the corners. Adrien Broner, we've seen in the past, his corners, they panic. Mikey Garcia has one of the best guys in the sport working his corner, and they're not going to panic. It's going to be Adrien Broner having to keep his corner calm, much like he did in the Maidana fight, while Mikey Garcia's corner, at any point in time, they, something should come up, they're just going to re-strategize. So that's a lot of pressure on Adrien Broner.
Sal, Dax just Dax just took the question right out of my mouth about the corners, and I feel the same way as he does. Mikey Garcia's corner is solid with his brother in the corner, and these guys are blue collar guys in the corner too. You never see them lose their heads or anything else. And just like Dax said, when we saw in the Maidana fight with Adrien Broner, he had to be the guy who calmed everybody down because they're so used to being yes men. And I haven't seen any changes in that corner. It was similar to Andre Berto's corner for the longest time. I mean, all he had was yes men, not giving him any instruction. At least Mikey Garcia is going to get, real instruction in between rounds. How much of a advantage do you feel that Mikey Garcia has over Adrien Broner when it comes to, in between rounds and changing a strategy if they need to on the fly?
I think it's going to be night and day difference. Don't let it be disguised. Every fighter has to have confidence in his corner. But if his corner cannot deliver what they can see and what they can do, your big concern is, hey, can you patch me up if I get a cut? Am I going to, can I go back out there and fight? Can you see the opportunities I'm missing or what I need to do to if I'm getting tagged with something? So you got to have people that are focusing and able to relate that to you in between that 1 minute round. I think Mikey Garcia's got the better corner. I think Mikey Garcia is in more on the same level of his corner, and we can depend on that to be a true fact. I mean, I like everything about Mikey Garcia. I like his corner. I like him as a fighter, and I'm going to tell you, I think he's going to get past this Adrien Broner.
Hey, Dax, we may or may not be able to get you on this week. It's a short week. So let me ask you this before I move on to something else. Adrien Broner against Mikey Garcia, what's your official prediction of the fight?
My official prediction in this fight is going to be Mikey Garcia by knockout. The key here is definitely, if you were ever going to use an example in this era on how to move a fighter along properly, Mikey Garcia is the guy. You mentioned earlier in the show about me being unhappy on the fact that Mikey Garcia had that long layoff. He comes back, he has one win, and then he gets a title shot. Yes, I just don't believe that was fair to the other fighters who've been putting in that time, whether or not it was Mikey Garcia or anybody else. It's just not fair. But, Mikey Garcia, the fact that, this is a guy that he could have had a world title shot in his 15th or 16th fight, but they brought him along properly, and they put him against a wide variety of opponents. Adrien Broner was moved along so fast, and they took advantage of his natural talent. More or less, they wanted to cash out on Adrien Broner before he hit that plateau. And when Mikey Garcia started having those promotional problems, he stepped away from the sport. He took time off. He didn't let his mind become bothered. He didn't let his body become taxed, and he didn't stress himself out like we see with a lot of fighters. And you know what? The fact that Mikey Garcia decided to return to the sport shows that Mikey Garcia is still hungry. Adrien Broner, on the other hand, he still hasn't found his place in the sport. He's going from welterweight, he's going to junior welterweight, then he's fighting a fight at welterweight, and he's looking for this past glory. We see him out there on social media doing these foolish things. He has legal problems. All that plays inside. And Adrien Broner's weight problems started back in 2010. And when you have problems for 7 years, making weight, missing weight, and jumping around the divisions, that means you're taxing your body a lot. Ricky Hatton is an example of that, where you blow up in between fights. Adrien Broner has been rumored to blow up to 190 pounds. So, you literally have a fresh fighter who's hungry against, a guy who's looking to reclaim his former glory. So all the mental pressure's on Adrien Broner. And Mikey Garcia, all he has to do is go out there and do his job. Unfortunately, for Adrien Broner, I think this is going to be more or less his swan song. He has to win this fight. And he can't even just look good. He has to win this fight, and he has to look spectacular, because even if he looks good and loses this fight, what's going to happen is that stigma is going to be on him that, you just fought a guy who for the first time came up to junior welterweight, and you're a guy who was in that welterweight division fighting, some of the very best there, and you weren't able to succeed. So everything's on Adrien Broner, and Adrien Broner had shown to melt down in the past. Mikey Garcia never has. So my opinion, that's all going to work in Mikey Garcia's favor, along with the other things that I stated, and he's going to knock Adrien Broner out somewhere around the 8th to 9th round, in my opinion.
Just for me to make a comment, Mikey Garcia is a fighter that, when I've looked at him and analyzed him and his relationship with his family, his brother specifically, he almost seems like a guy that, was kind of coaxed into being a boxer. He doesn't seem he does it, and he does it well. And he's technically sound. I think if you look in the book of how to be a technically sound boxer, Mikey Garcia's picture is going to be there, and links to his videos and all that stuff. But the love of the sport doesn't seem to be there. Whatever the case is, doesn't matter. It's working for Mikey Garcia, and I agree that Mikey Garcia is the guy. The only thing I disagree with you on is I do think that if Adrien Broner performs well, that he will continue his career on a positive note. And the reason is because all of the things that you mentioned, like all the negatives, the discipline, the trouble he's having outside the ring, etc., could all be fixed. It could be something that he could say, hey, this fight was a wake-up call, the last fight was a wake-up call, whatever, and he could fix it as long as his performance is there. If it's a stink fest, and this guy is just outclassed and gets knocked out by Mikey Garcia, it's going to be hard for him to recover. That's my thought. It's just what I think from that. And I know, Sal, you're a big stickler on discipline, and that plays a big part of this whole picture, doesn't it?
It does. It plays a big part. And, Dax outlined it perfectly, is why I am choosing Mikey Garcia. Because, I don't know if Adrien Broner can really separate and get away from all that drama and all that stuff and chaos in his life. I really don't think he can. And that's what a fighter has to do. He's got to put the blinders on. He's got to put that away. But I think it shows that might be part of his makeup. And, whether it's fuel for his fire or it's a deterrent. It hasn't shown to be the fuel for a fighter. It hasn't shown to be the fuel for his fire in the past. So that's why I'm saying that. I think this is a very important fight. And if Adrien Broner thinks he's a superstar, he's got to win, and he's got to win big, and he's got to take that win and make it propel him into that real upper echelon superstardom. But if he's going to lose, which I think he will. I think Mikey Garcia is going to be in a great position after this fight. And I think Adrien Broner is going to be, grabbing at the rungs of the ladder, and he's going to have to climb, and it's going to be a hard climb for him. In other words, I think maybe his best days are behind him.
Hey, Dax, the fight that I'm kind of looking forward to, because obviously it's the Glory division and everything else, is the Jarrell Miller and Gerald Washington fight. I had noticed in the chat room there was some comments saying that Gerald Washington is basically an opponent and stuff like that. I'm not so sure. I think that his resume is much more solid than Jarrell Miller. I'm not sold on Jarrell Miller. He hasn't fought anybody yet. I don't like the weight. This is a guy that may be successful up to this point, being physically bigger in terms of girth than his opponents. But as he moves up into this next level of heavyweights, it may hurt him, the inability to move and stuff. With that said, he is younger. how do you see this fight? I mean, how do you breaking down this one?
I see it pretty much like most of Jarrell Miller's fights, where he's easy to get, he's easily hittable, and Jarrell Washington's going to do that, and he's going to, box. Jarrell Washington's a better than average boxer, but he's also 35, and he's not a big puncher, and he's always been that guy who's just one rung below, and PBC is. They use him more or less, to fill up space. And as an opponent, that was my comment based on the Deontay Wilder fight, where, he was just a guy. We have nobody to fight. You know what? Let's just throw Gerald Washington there. He looks good on paper. And, with Jarrell Miller, I think that's going to happen here. I did see some pictures of Jarrell Miller, and looks like he slimmed down a little bit. So, whether or not, that can also affect whether or not he can take a punch. So, Jarrell Miller, I haven't really been impressed with him. What pretty much all he's just shown me in his career is that he can take a punch and walk a guy down at a C level. He hasn't done anything above the B level so far. So the book is still out on him, but he's getting older and he's going to have to make some noise soon because, the heavyweight division, like we spoke about last week, is going through a lot of changes, and most of the changes are overseas. So if you want to, become marketable, now's the time to do it. The other fight on there I think is really exciting is going to be the Rashi Warren against the McJoe Arroyo fight. Other than the main event, I think that's going to be an all-action fight, and if you blink, you're going to miss 5 or 10 punches.
In the heavyweight fight, I mean, Gerald Washington, I at one point he was a guy that they were grooming, maybe not to replace Deontay Wilder, but maybe be a co-title holder eventually with a meeting between the two. And like you mentioned, unfortunately for Washington, he was thrown in with Deontay Wilder a little too soon. And not that I think Deontay Wilder is so great, but, big height advantage and size advantage. But on his way up, Gerald Washington did have some significant wins. He had a win over Sherman Tank Williams, Travis Walker, who wasn't the same, Skip Scott, who's a tough fighter, Nagy Aguilera, who's a tough fighter, Eddie Chambers, who at least can box, Amir Mansour, he got a gift with a draw. So he has fought some tougher opposition than Jarrell Miller. And unless Jarrell Miller is back down to 265 pounds, I think that if Washington can get Miller into the later rounds, that he stands a chance. I mean, he is a bigger guy, 2-inch height advantage. And, my question would be, can Miller go, into a long fight? I mean, most of his fights end pretty quickly. Can he be effective, after the 8th round?
If he can keep it at a decent pace, that's comfortable for him, absolutely, I believe he can. I don't believe that Gerald Washington is going to engage. So, he's going to try and outbox Miller, which isn't really, so far, to me, hasn't appeared to be that hard to do. So, it's going to be a slow-paced fight, and then when it gets later on, I think the power is going to carry because of the fact that it's going to be, Jarrell Miller's pace of a fight, and then once Washington does open up, Miller's going to get the knockout. And that's just my opinion. It could turn out the other way, who knows? But, right now, that's what I see. And, Joe Washington's 35 years old, so what are you going to do at 35? You're not going to get much better. This is pretty much, the plateau of your career.
Plus, he's coming off a knockout loss. So, anyway. Hey, Dax, I appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to – next week is going to be kind of a weird week for us, but, of course, I'll be in touch with you and get you on ASAP.
Right, and one thing, before we go on a solemn note, our condolences to Thomas Williams Jr., the former light heavyweight title contender. His father, former heavyweight fighter, Thomas Top Dog Williams Sr. A lot of people know him for his fights with John Ruiz, Darnell Nicholson, and Iran Barkley tail end of his career. He passed away Friday in an automobile accident. A car was coming in the wrong direction on the road, came right up, and he died instantly on impact. So our condolences to the entire Williams family in this situation.
Sad news, but thanks for bringing that to our attention, Dax.
All right, everybody, and enjoy your day.
All right, my man. That's Dax Khan giving us his thoughts and sad stuff with Top Dog's pops. But for all the affiliates out there, we will not be taking a break here. Actually, we do. We do have to. I got in trouble for that. Sal, hold that thought. We are going to take a short break, and we will be back in I don't know. I'm going to take a wild stab at it. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Tell me, Kenny, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? And don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, what you gonna do next?
Kenny Bear's home for the barbecue rub and seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us today. And I'm here with my man Sal Rocky Senecola. And I wanted to ask you something. You know, with the Gerald Washington, his last fight coming off a TKO stoppage at the hands of Deontay Wilder, how much does that come into play?
I think that comes into play.
Well, I mean, how much do you think that, and the time will tell, but some fighters can come back from a knockout loss and others are affected by it forever. Like maybe they can't handle the shots as much. And I'm not the one thing that Deontay does have is a lot of punching power. You know, how does Washington go into this fight? Does he fight cautious? I mean, what do you think?
I think he's going to fight his fight, but I'll tell you what. He's going to have a little room of doubt the first time he gets hit with a big shot. And we're going to see if he's able to absorb that shot and continue and go on, or if it's going to make a difference for him. I think that's going to be a big thing. So, yeah, a fighter will carry that with him. It's not that he's going to automatically fold. No, he's not going to do that. But, you know, he's questioning himself right now. Right now he's questioning himself a little bit. Well, you know what? I got caught. Deontay Wilder hurt me, and you know, if I get caught again, I want to see how I'm going to feel. Will I be prepared for that? Was it a surprise? Did Deontay catch him cold? So you know, there's a lot of questions he's going to have right now, but he'll have them answered in fight time.
You know,
but definitely that doubt issue is there right now.
Just to change topic real quick, we were talking about our next blast from the past, which is Wednesday. Former world champion and boxing Hall of Famer Gene Fullmer, And, you glance at this guy's resume, Ralph Tiger Jones, Sugar Ray Robinson a bunch of times. He also fought Ralph Tiger Jones a bunch of times. Joe Maselli, a great fighter. Spider Webb, Carmen Basilio a bunch of times. Joey Gardello, Florentino Fernandez, Dick Tiger, Benny Kid Paret, the fight that we did and are going to re-show. I mean, the names that this guy fought and the frequency in which he fought. He made his pro debut in 1951. His last fight was 1963. So you're talking 12-year career, and in that time he fought 64 fights with all the best of that era, during an era in which many people regard this as one of the greatest middleweight crops of all time. It's amazing. Paul Pender, another one he fought and beat. It's amazing to think. And then when you look at today's fighters and the young fan who doesn't understand where we're coming from about guys who they fight, and if they look at some of these names that I mentioned and they look at their records and they say, oh, look, he's got 6 losses, he's got 8 losses, he can't be very good. But when you're fighting the same names that are all Hall of Famers, I mean, most of those names I just mentioned are Hall of Fame fighters. You're fighting them multiple times. Of course you're going to lose a couple of them, right? I mean, doesn't that put it really in perspective, Sal? Like, if you're dealing and discussing the sport with a younger fan, and you whip out a guy like Gene Fulmer and say, look at the names on him, look at the names of those names, who they fought, et cetera, et cetera. This is why we're talking about these guys being as great as they are. I mean, it's right there for you in black and white.
Well, you hit it on the head. And these guys, you look at that span of time that he fought and the amount of fights that he had. He averaged about 10 fights a year. And I'm sure there was years that he had more. I'm sure there was years he had less. But he's averaging 10 fights a year, and that's never going to be matched again. You're not going to see a fighter do that anymore today, unless they're young and hungry and coming up fast, whatever. But and as you said, we saw that they would fight each other multiple times. That goes back to our earlier shows when we talk about the rivalries and about things here. I mean, look at Jake LaMotta and Ray Robinson. They fought about 6 times, and it was like, hey, I'll get you next time. I'll get you next time. These guys fought with that passion, that heart. They wanted to challenge themselves and beat the best. And, if a fighter loses a fight to a fighter, he might want to avoid him for a while or get back to him. It depends. But to face a fighter 6 times is like, hey, we're gonna do this once more or again. So that was a golden era for boxing. And it was basically a lot of what the legends and how legends were born, and a proving ground. And I'll tell you what, Bill, you look at that, it was a springboard to giving boxing a lot of the accolades and the attention of what it was all about.
It's a shame, and that boxing has become, and it's not just boxing, life has become, and sports in general, but boxing's all about the money. And some of these fighters, just like a Gene Fulmer, which we'll be talking about on Wednesday, in the wars that he was in. Now, he lived well into his 80s. He had 2 brothers that fought, was successful and smart with his money after boxing, etc. But there was so many more, majority more, that weren't. And the way it was interpreted by generations after these guys is safety first. And that's what we have today. And what bothers me I think what bothers me the most is that the fan base accepts the safety first, we don't want to fight any tough fights attitude. And to me, how can you have a lifelong fan that knows in their heart of hearts that their fighter, the one that they like, the fighter they follow, isn't really challenging him or herself with the best out there? Like, the attitude of these fighters of yesteryear wanted to prove it, so they seeked out the toughest and biggest challenges, moving up weight class after weight class just to fight a guy, And nowadays people get credit for basically avoiding the tough fights and timely picking the fights when they need to, when it's best for them. And, who's the A side? Whose name is first? I mean, the priorities have certainly changed in this sport, Sal. And I just think that the way they have changed and the nature in which the changes took place equals we're not creating lifelong fans. And that's what the sport really needs above all else.
Well, you're a lifelong fan. I'm a lifelong fan. There are plenty of fans out there that are lifelong fans. But as you said, creating new lifelong fans, it's hard because, like I was suggesting, a lot of those older names and the Fulmers and the Marcianos, the Grazianos, the Leonards, the Sugar Ray Robinsons. I mean, these guys, the Benny Leonards, and everybody else. These guys, they gave a platform of what made boxing great. And these are the stories in the parlor that we used to talk about. And, and fortunately, it was a springboard. And the 60s had a good bunch of fights, and the 70s surely was a great era of fighting, and even the 80s when I fought. It was one of what I would say one of the great last eras of fighting. But, the whole thing now, hopefully we're having, like I said, a reboot, a resurgence, but creating the lifelong boxing fan is what we should look at, having a goal to attain and to achieve, because I don't know if it's going to happen. The youth is all looking at this shock appeal, the MMA, and unless there are those fighters that could attract and sell the fans on their marketability, that's going to be it. It's hard to say, but you got to have fighters that also bring fans into the game.
No doubt, and excitement attracts fans.
Stories.
Right.
Like I said, I still to this day I love when I mentioned it was either Wide World of Sports or Sports World or Wide World of Sports. You do the up close and personals. They gave you an inside glimpse of what a particular fighter, what his lifestyle was all about, what he came from, what was his goals, what was his makeup. So you got a chance to identify. And like I said, a lot of people, they become a fight fan when they see something in a fighter that they can identify or connect with and understand and empathize with. So, we don't see that today. We see and we hear of, well, who's champion, who's this, who's that. But to create a following, you're either going to like a fighter for his style and his grittiness and or what he stands for, or because you admire what he's about, his whole makeup. So we need to see the up close and personal on some of these fighters to create that lifelong fan.
Well, they need to just be out there more, and people will follow.
They got to promote it. They're themselves. They got to promote themselves too.
On this day, July 24th in boxing history in 1986, Toyoshi Hamada knocks out Rene Arredondo in the first round to win the WBA junior welterweight title. It took place in Tokyo. On this day in 1968, Jose Legra knocks out Howard Winstone in the fifth round to win the vacant WBC World Featherweight title. It took place in Wales, and not Joan as well either. But and on this day in 1988, young Kang Kim wins a 12-round decision over Sat Chikalada to win the WBC World Flyweight title. It took place in South Korea. On this day in 1923, funny you mentioned his name. He's on my list today. Benny Leonard wins a 15-round decision over Lou Tendler to retain his world lightweight title. It took place at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. On this day in 1902, Joe Gans knocks out Rufy Turner in the 15th round to retain his world lightweight title, and that took place in Oakland, California. And finally, on this day, July 24th in 1982, Ray Boom Boom Mancini knocks out Ernesto España in the 6th round to retain his WBA World Lightweight title, and that took place in Warren, Ohio on this day in 1982. And speaking of Warren, Ohio, I want to give a shout-out to all of our radio listeners, and I know we have an affiliate in Warren, Ohio, so glad you guys are still with us for this long. But anyway, like I had said, our schedule this week is 3 days, and then we're off on Thursday and Friday. And then next week, you got to play it by ear. Unfortunately, I am being called to fulfill my obligations for the government. Let's just leave it at that. So we need to leave it.
Bill, I don't know if I leave it like that.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. But the bottom line is you have to tune in to see if we're doing a show next week. Unfortunately, that's the way I got to leave it. But just a little programming note. But don't forget, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.